Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 47, another 7 curious interesting things I saw last week. So let's crack on. The first one is Kanye West's stem player. So this is to launch his new album called Dondo and allows you to remix it live using this device. So probably only somebody like Kanye could really afford to develop this thing, but there you go. It costs £240, but it probably has a bit of trick up its sleeve that maybe makes it worth it. So what does it do? So it allows you to remix his album live using stems. Now stems are the constituent parts of the track, so the vocals, the bass, the drums, etc. You can put your fingers up and down those slidey grooves and bring those in or out. It also has another sort of more creative mode which allows you to slow down time, reverse it, create in and out loops and all those sorts of things. So actually it's quite a powerful device, and you can create some really interesting versions of the tracks. And the third thing, which may make it worth that £240, is you can upload your own songs onto it, just standard songs through the website, and it will try and split out the stems for you automatically, so you don't need any musical knowledge whatsoever to do that. And you can then play around with your own tracks or tracks from other artists. So there you go, £240, available at KanyeWest.com. Second thing is a Minecraft computer. So you will all have heard of Minecraft probably. You may not really know what it is, but the clue is in the name. You mine things. You literally get a pickaxe and you mine out of the ground, and you can craft things with it, hence Minecraft. So that's the idiot's guide. However, what you're seeing in front of you right now is like as far as you can possibly go. Currently, obviously somebody will probably beat it, but this is a fully functioning 8-bit computer, essentially made out of stuff you can get from the ground. As you say, it has a display, has I/O ports, and it can do basic logic. So the main part of this that is really cool is it was made out of a thing called redstone, which is an ore, and you can use it for connectors, and you can make rudimentary logic gates and computer things. So it works at 1 Hertz, which is 1 calculation per second, so it's not exactly fast when everything else works at gigahertz. However, what you've got here is something that is just bonkers. So do try and watch the video, because as I say in my description, it's like trying to make an iPhone out of ants or wasps. It's just, it shouldn't really be able to happen, and yet it does. It can do things like addition, subtractions, calculate Fibonacci sequences, that sort of thing. This is in no way useful. However, it is just really more basically an experiment in just how far you can take this sort of nonsense, and that is pretty far. So go and have a look at that, the Minecraft computer. This is, I'm going to try and actually pronounce this. This is approximate differentiable 1-point pixel rendering. I know you didn't think you needed it, but you really do. So this, the big breakthrough here is partly about its accuracy, partly about its speed, and partly about the fact that it can be done at home on home graphics cards, essentially. So what's going on here is when it does actually pop up in the bottom right-hand corner, probably where my face is, unfortunately, but you'll see some photographs. So this is a scene that has been reconstructed from just a sequence of relatively random photos. Somebody has walked around this climbing frame and taken a bunch of photo input. They're not in any way constructed in a clever way. They're not. They're literally just random photos from different directions. The algorithm, the neural network, can actually make sense of all of that stuff. It knows the orientation of every photograph, and it can then make up all the frames in between and create a 3-dimensional scene, or made out of a point cloud. So, so what you're seeing here is, a whole bunch of random photos. As you're seeing this sweep going across the screen, by the way, you're seeing the real image, which it was never shown, versus one of the frames which should match the real image, and it got it pretty much spot on. So it's super accurate. So, in the future when you go on holiday, you might find yourself taking lots of random photos of a certain area because you want to reconstruct it and have a walk around it later on. So clearly also this is going to be amazing for things like, Google Maps, where all of a sudden nearly everything is going to look as real as this. The entire world should pretty much be navigatable in this sort of detail. So that's where we're going with that, and that's why it's going to be interesting to watch. Apple news. So they have finally given in to the right to repair movement, and this was basically due to shareholder pressure. And also Microsoft had also had the same sorts of pressure. a couple of months ago, I think back in April, and they agreed to abide by the shareholders and say, yeah, we will actually look into our essentially the environmental damage on our supply chain and that sort of thing, and we will look into it. So there's also other big companies that have basically said, look, okay, yes, we can't just keep creating landfill because we won't let people repair these devices. So what Apple have done is they've sort of met it halfway. Just walking back a step is Apple have more and more gone down the path of you are not allowed to repair your own devices. If you break your screen, your battery, or whatever you do, you have to go into an Apple retailer and get it officially fixed. You can't I do it yourself, or B, you can't actually go into a high street repair shop. So now you can, or at least starting next year you can. So you order the parts from Apple official parts. So that's why I said it's kind of, because actually the parts are super cheap on the internet, and the official Apple parts will probably be quite pricey. However, they will send them to you. You can fix it yourself. You have to obviously use a repair manual, or you should use a repair manual. And if you send back the old part, they will actually give you a refund off part of your bill. So that's their sort of concession to the landfill part as well. So this is actually great news, because Apple were one of the real sort of blocks really to the right to repair movement. So I'm glad they've done that. That's a really big thing. And if you are a manufacturer of hardware and you're still holding out, then shame on you. If Apple can do it, so can you. The SOMATIC toilet cleaner. So this is didn't really know what angle to come at this from. Let's do it as a tech and an innovation point. So this is a robot, as you can see, that can clean toilets. Now, unlike normal toilets or toilet cleaners, which do one job, they clean the floors, or they might change a light bulb, or whatever it is. This does it all. So it's been trained using virtual reality. So somebody's gone into the toilet of your building and they've trained it, or they've basically scanned it using a LiDAR. They've got a 3D model of it, and then somebody in VR has gone, right, okay, here's the toilet, we need to scrub the toilet. So as far as I can work out, this robot is using artificial intelligence and its own kind of route finding algorithms, but basically it's doing the tasks based on what a human would do. So as you can see, it's not only basically spraying the toilet, it's also blow drying the toilet, it's cleaning the mirrors, it's cleaning the tap, and then it's doing the sink. So it's got some attachment on top, so it changes all the attachments all the time. So it can spray, it can suck, and it can blow. That's the thing it can do. All taught by a human, which is kind of cool. Now obviously the other side of this is that this is what we would consider, and big air quotes here, is a minimum wage task here. Now this is for office toilets, I guess, because they're bigger, but if you are on minimum wage in the UK, if you did it 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, then your wages would be £1,600 a month. This robot is available for £750 a month, all in. Just got to guarantee you can get some water and get some charge, and if you don't want it, then they just come and pick it up at the end of the next month. So we've seen, more and more repetitive tasks being automated. Now this one is, you would have thought, well, this is quite a complicated dexterous task, but now humans can then teach this how to do those as well. So two things, well, cool technology, but obviously it's just another worrying step of automation for even the very basic of jobs. There you go. The DogPhone. Now this just attracted because of the name, the DogPhone. But what this basically is, and I'm going to try and pronounce his name here. So I'm just this is Dr. Hersky Douglas, I think it is. Let's say Hersky. Either way, from the University of Glasgow. Basically wanted to allow her dog to call her, rather than where the industry is currently is, there is a video phone maybe that you can call your dog and you can say hello and all that sort of stuff. So she put an accelerometer into a ball and essentially taught Zach, her dog, what to do with this ball to make a call. It was really interesting. I just thought it was really interesting. It's coming from the opposite side of the spectrum, which is clearly where she was coming from as well. So animals are capable of having that control over technology. So the future is probably giving them that as well. So at the moment they are basically slaves to our technology, in the future, when they have their own technology, imagine what they'll do with that. We keep thinking about AIs and robots taking over the world. Imagine a whole set of Labradors, for instance, super smart Labradors and sheepdogs. Imagine what they would do with technology. I just got my mind racing what you would do. Weaponized, weaponized lizards and things like that in your homes. There you go. And finally, Barbie has joined the electric revolution. So normally Barbie drives around in either a Corvette or a Jeep. Now, finally, she has now made it to an electric vehicle. So this is the Extra. So she will now be essentially driving around in that. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that when we use role models through toys, Barbie's obviously come on quite a long journey from being a relatively sort of gender/sexist model to actually role models and teaching all about diversity in careers and those sorts of things. So it's actually a little bit at the vanguard of basically challenging sort of gender stereotypes. So obviously children learn from that, and children can now learn about electric cars as well. Now, clearly, the other cars didn't make any noise anyway, so this is no real difference. But actually, what you're seeing right now is actually a model, not the actual thing. But you can actually buy it and go and look for Barbie Extra, I guess it is. But there you go. I just thought it was really interesting. More manufacturers will probably be reflecting our move to new technologies and lifestyle choices through the toys that children are then inspired by. And that's pretty much why I thought it was interesting. There you go. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was useful. And I hopefully will see you next week.